If I walk down the street, I'm ingesting gigabits of data as a human being, and if a computer does that, how do you react to that and respond to that and adapt to the real world?
This is Velocitize Talks. I'm Andy North, and I'm joined today by Jeff Dance, CEO and founder of Fresh Consulting. Jeff, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
What's going on with Fresh Consulting? What are you excited about these days? What are you guys working on?
We're growing a lot. I think we've been averaging 15 to 20 people a month, so it's been a lot of crazy growth. We expanded into hardware and robotics, which is different for a digital company, and so that's been a big part of our growth.
Tell us a little bit about Fresh Consulting. What's the breadth and depth of your services?
We started about a decade ago. Today we're about 275 people. We think of our company as providing innovation as a service. So we're definitely end-to-end. I mentioned hardware robotics, but we start with strategy and design, do web and software development, and then actually do hardware engineering and robotics as well. So we're an end-to-end provider, and we're at the very beginning kind of co-creating, strategizing with our clients, and then doing full-on execution thereafter.
That's exciting. You do a lot of UX work as well.
Yes.
How would you say the relationship between digital marketing and UX has evolved, and what are some of the exciting trends you're seeing?
I think it's just become more and more important. I think quality matters today, and experience matters a lot more, and that's where UX plays center stage. And so there's a lot of noise, and UX is becoming more and more important to kind of push through that noise.
Do you see UX continuing to play a leading role in digital marketing?
Definitely. In digital in general, marketing and more, again, with all that noise, it's like you need to be able to differentiate, you need to be able to customize, you need to be relevant, and all that matters, if in connecting with your real user that you're targeting from a marketing perspective. So those are some thoughts.
How do brands leverage the power of good UX in continuing to build their brand?
UX, again, it's about the user, and as you think about a brand, it's about the story, and a brand is a collection of artifacts, not just a single name or logo. It's a collection of things that tells a story to that user. And again, as I mentioned, with all the noise, it's how you cut through that and use stories that target your real users. I think UX is at the center of that.
You mentioned stories. What's the power of storytelling when it comes to UX? How does that play a role? And then again, how does that play a role in building your brand as well?
Stories are only becoming more and more important because of the attention deficit that we have, and with all the devices and technology and the screens and all the different content and the poor quality content as well, right? Stories stick. You remember stories, and they connect with us emotionally, and so at quality, we're kind of seeking out and appreciating quality content more, and story is a big part of that. Story is the heart of good branding. It's also the heart of good content, and so I think it's only becoming more important.
That's excellent. Would you say content marketing, which has become somewhat of a buzzword, is not going away? It's obviously increasing in strategic value.
Yeah, definitely increasing in strategic value, because the web and the internet are continuing to be the backbone of connectivity and digital, and content is at the center of that. And so I think the quality of your content, also the quantity of that content matters. And so content marketing's, in my mind, is only becoming more important, so that you can have a voice with all the scattered channels out there.
Some have speculated that the death of the website is near at hand and to be replaced by apps or some unknown future technology. Would you agree with that, or would you say that websites still have a strong value for brands and digital marketers?
I definitely think they still have a strong value. I think that they will continue to be important well into the future. And we're working on a lot of the future today. We're in AI, AR, VR, robotics, IoT. We're in a lot of these spaces, and we see it reinforcing the importance of everything that's happened in the last decade. The cloud and the mobile and websites. And I think websites will continue to change, but definitely I see websites still being the face of companies and brands and products. And even though other things, our attention might be more scattered between different channels, the web and the website will still be a kind of a home base that connects all these different channels.
Talk about some of those near-term technologies you mentioned, AR, VR, AI, et cetera. Many are in use today, but are there any that you see coming within the next 3 to 5 years that you're excited about?
Definitely AI and autonomous systems. We're kind of at the frontier where machines have been driven by us or directed by us, and machines coming out into the real world and kind of sensing the real world and being autonomous is sort of this new frontier that we're working on, especially in the industrial area. And that's where, if I walk down the street, I'm ingesting gigabits of data as a human being, and if a computer does that, how do you react to that and respond to that and adapt to the real world, and be a little bit more intelligent so that you can support things work that we're doing. We see that coming, where it's machines and things can truly be smart. Things have been connected, technology's been connected, but it hasn't really been smart. And so that's a big frontier, from marketing to machines to a lot of the industrial space. This is a big movement right now.
Is that happening with robotics? You mentioned the combination of two technologies. How is that working with robotics?
Definitely same thing in robotics. We're seeing a confluence of things come together, right? Where before robots couldn't really see. The Microsoft Kinect actually was the technology that ended up in our iPhone to kind of do the Face ID, where it kind of scans us. That actually changed, in some sense, changed robotics, because it helped the robots truly see and have depth perception, right? And so now that robots can see, and then they can now use AI to recognize, right? Have computer vision, they kind of recognize things and have that recognize things. And now that we have autonomous systems to kind of help make some intelligent decisions that are still directed and kind of controlled by us, that then it's like these connecting elements that are creating explosions of different innovation possibilities. And I think a lot of it's starting in controlled environments like industrial spaces, but it'll eventually bleed into consumer environments.
Will it play into UX? Will there be some sort of UX robotic interface?
Definitely. And one of the biggest opportunities in robotics, and one of the reasons we're really excited about combining our digital practice with our hardware and robotics practice, is that the UX, or the soft side of robotics, is like a really key missing ingredient, because UX tries to bring together technology and people, right? And we got websites and apps and systems. We're like trying to bring them together, right, and make things easier. And we have these new standards, and we expect high quality because we've experienced what high quality is. But as you think about robotics, right, it's like the soft side and the human side of robotics. And machines, right? It's like, how do you make those user friendly? And what we're seeing today is it's one of the hottest capital markets in the space right now for growth. It's also one of the markets where companies are dying frequently. Like $100-200 million companies are dying after these major investments, because I don't think they've factored in enough of the UX side of robotics. They're doing amazing engineering, right. But if you think about integration and change management and the soft side of machines, it's like, that matters a lot if they're going to integrate into our work, and we're going to allow them to integrate into our work. And it matters even more if we're going to allow them to integrate into our homes. So consumer robotics companies have been dying more so than the industrial ones, but it points to the problem that we're not thinking enough about the UX side, the human side, right, the integration side. And in essence, I think we believe in using, building and creating technology for good. We want technology that helps humans be humans, and robots to do some of the more mechanical and sort of machine work. But that union and that harmony takes a lot of thinking and design. You got to design with intent.
So it sounds like you're saying that soft side is somewhat the last mile.
It's a forgotten piece, and so definitely a part of the last mile.
Are there any examples in the industry that you can point to where someone actually did it right, where it works?
The most successful robot company, if you determine it, if you call it a robot, is iRobot. You know, they've sold 30 million units or something like that, and it's sort of, the idea is that, you know, it replaces something, the vacuuming that you kind of set it and forget it, right? They had a product failure that was really, and it required too much intervention, you know, and so it was like, too much effort. It was like I believe a mopping product. And it was like too much, just enough, like too much extra work in order for that to be successful. And so we really need, that points to how delicate that balance is, where it's like it really needs to augment us, help us be our best selves, right? Or integrate with something we're doing, make it easier. Much like apps or systems have done so. Some have been harder to use, and so they haven't been successful, right? Some have been really easy to use and really simplified that thing, and so bam, it's part of our everyday life. We use that app, we use that system, right? The same thing needs to happen in the robotic space, in the machine space. It needs to be that simple to kind of set up and use or to replace. But, you know, at some point in the near future, we might be like, hey, Alexa, you know, go mow the lawn.
My guest today has been Jeff Dance, CEO and founder of Fresh Consulting. Jeff, thank you so much for being here.
No worries.